And they would come here, and the first ministers that came and looked at the land, they saw that there were 2 lakes, an ocean, and not many mosquitoes. That was the very beginning of the camp meeting. One of the pastors' names was Mrs. Thornley, or Reverend Thornley, and Mrs. Thornley gathered the people together at her tent for prayer. And that's where we call the beginning of Ocean Grove.
In 1868, a few miles down the beach from Long Branch, a small group of Methodist ministers, including the Reverend William B. Osborn, had set out on a mission in search of a place where families of like mind could pitch their tents and for a little while each summer enjoy the warm, salty air. Along with a group of traveling companions, they passed through the forest and arrived down a sand road. By the first week of July, they had cleared the space of briar bushes for a few tents. On December 22nd, the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association of the Methodist Episcopal Church was officially formed. By 1870, tents with a floor and small kitchen could be rented from the association for $2.50 a week. 200 tents on permanent floors were in use by 1871. And by 1879, there were over 700. The Grove was becoming known as Little Canvas Village. By 1872, 300 cottages had been built on the grounds. Anyone who accepted a lease agreed to certain regulations. On Sundays, in these early years of the resort, it was unlawful to drive a horse and buggy, launch a boat, or even go sea bathing. No theatrical entertainment was allowed. The sale of tobacco was strictly prohibited. Smoking was not permitted, and alcoholic beverages were forbidden. Carriages were not tolerated on the beach, and no bicycles on the boardwalk. The gates of the resort were closed at 10 p.m. every night and all day on the Sabbath. Dancing and card playing were frowned upon, and trains were not allowed to stop at the station on Sundays. The aim of the association was to keep its eye on the glory of God. Until the great auditorium was built in 1894, much of Ocean Grove's social activity centered around the tabernacle. In 1880, it was enlarged to cover nearly half an acre. Services would begin at 5:45 in the morning and included an altar service, hymn singing, sermons, and scripture reading, along with religious testimony and prayer. A children's meeting was held every afternoon aimed to impress the minds of children with the beauty of a religious life compared with one of worldliness and sin. Despite its rigid guidelines and protocol, Ocean Grove was a peaceful, joyous setting. A place full of laughter, good-natured smiles, amused onlookers, and the cheerful play of little children. One Ocean Grove official would comment, "After you have come, if you do not like it, there is nothing to compel you to stay." When successful New York brush manufacturer James A. Bradley attended one of Ocean Grove's camp meetings in 1870, he had hopes that a few weeks at the beach and seashore would improve his health. Held among a delightful group of 30 young oak trees, 500 yards from the open sea, he was captivated by the people and the surroundings, and soon became interested in purchasing a 500-acre tract of briars and swamp on the north side of Wesley Lake. After assembling a group of investors, he got his town incorporated, naming it Asbury Park, in honor of the Bishop of Asbury of the Methodist Church. The aim of Mr. Bradley's earnest endeavor was not to establish a moral and religious community like that of Ocean Grove, but rather one of sober, decent, and industrious citizens. From its very beginnings, Asbury Park was described as an idyllic resort. Peaceful, quiet, and genteel. A sign posted on one of the newly constructed bathhouses read, "Modesty of apparel is as becoming to a lady in a bathing suit as it is to a lady dressed in silk and satin." On the beach were toddlers with rolled-up trousers, women with pinned-up frocks, paddling in the rippling shallows, then sent up by the breaking waves. Larger crowds sat high and dry on the sand or in the pavilions, watching as the lively scenes played out through the summer mornings, afternoons, and evenings. In 1875, trains began to arrive at the new Asbury Park Ocean Grove Station, and by 1889, there were nearly 200 hotels and boarding houses, along with over 800 private residences. These bold, spirited pioneers had discovered exactly what they were searching for: a peaceful bond with God, nature, and the rumbling surf.